Hey, this is Charles with Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Today I'm going to show you how to install a Tusk folding glass windshield on 2019 and newer Polaris RZR XP 1000s, both in 2 and 4 seat models. A windshield is one of the top accessories for your side-by-side, and there's a lot of different options out there. So some of the reasons we chose to go with the Tusk folding glass windshield are when the windshield is up, it keeps wind, dust, debris, butterflies, that kind of thing from coming into the cab. But if you want a little bit of airflow, you can open a vent in the bottom or lay the windshield down. Now this thing's also made to be durable, and it uses automotive style glass. You also have the option to run a windshield wiper. We chose to do that because it's going to benefit us in our riding conditions. Now, if you need to know more about the features of this windshield, make sure you watch our product spotlight video on it. But for today, we're just going to show you how to get this installed on a 2019 Polaris RZR XP 1000. To do this job, you'll need some common hand tools, rags, safety glasses. We also have our 2-inch painter's tape, and you'll need a drill with a 3/8-inch drill bit. As far as parts go, we have our folding glass windshield, as well as all the hardware that came in the kit. Make sure you check off the list that's in your provided set of instructions and make sure you have all of the hardware there. The other thing we have is our accessory windshield wiper. As you can see on our machine, we have a few accessories. We've got these mirrors, a light bar, but if you've got any accessories on yours, you're going to want to make sure and check fitment before moving forward. Now, the other thing I want to point out, to run this windshield, you're going to have this stock visor. The other thing you want to do is read through your provided set of instructions to get familiar with the install process before you begin. So at this point, we've already done that, and we're ready to install these roll cage clamps on the upper portion of this A-pillar. And when you install these, you want to leave the hardware a little bit loose because we are going to have to adjust them just a little bit for fitment later on. So we're going to wrap this rubber piece around the roll cage, and then we'll put our clamp onto it with this bolt facing the inside of the cab. Now we'll go ahead and install this same clamp on the other side. At this point, we're going to remove both of these bolts in the roll cage clamps. Now, we've already had this windshield installed, and we're just going to redo it to show you guys how to do it. Now, to do this next part, you've got this upper filler bracket. So we've got this foam tape, and what you're going to do is you'll cut it to length into 3 pieces. You've got both the corner pieces, and then the length you'll run all the way across the top. Once you have the foam tape installed, you can take the upper filler panel and we'll install it onto our roll cage brackets that we just installed using the hardware we just removed. And when you put this on, you want to get it as centered as possible, but again, we will be moving it a little bit more once we have the windshield in place. And as you go throughout the process, it might be helpful to have somebody help you hold everything into place while you install the bolts. All right, the next step is to install these A-pillar brackets. To do that, we're going to take our 10 by 65 millimeter bolts and put it through this A-pillar. We need to tighten these bolts down fully before we install this bracket. Put the bracket on, and then your kit should come with a couple nuts. You'll loosely install these, and you can actually snug them down just a little bit, but these will need to be adjusted later on. And just to keep everything aligned, I'm going to swap one bolt out at a time. Now we can install our A-pillar brackets. These do have quite a bit of adjustability to them, so we'll put them in the middle position and tighten down the nuts. All right, at this point, what you'll need to do is install your foam tape to the top of the windshield. Obviously we've already got ours done, but what you'll do, you'll run it from this hole all the way down to this other side. The next step we need to do is install this bulb seal. We've got 3 pieces. The longer piece goes on the center. This is your vent door. And as you put this on, if you have any loose spots, you can pinch this down for a tighter seal. And on ours, we're just going to start on the center of this door and work it out to the sides. After we've done the door, we'll install the 2 side pieces, and these are going to be your shorter length. Next, we'll install the door bracketry, and to do that, we're going to start with this bottom piece, and we'll be using the 2 M6 bolts with the nylock nuts. Next, we'll take our top bracket, we're going to line it up with these 2 bolt holes, and we'll install the 2 M5 bolts with the nylock nuts. At this point, we'll leave our bolts loosely installed and install this hinge bracket. To install this, we're going to use the pivot bolt and nylock nut, and this bolt head looks a little bit different. So we'll set that into place, and keep in mind, since this does have to move, we're just going to tighten the nylock nut down so this bracket can still pivot. Now we'll take our hand knob, and we've got this nylon friction washer. We'll put in between these 2 brackets. And this is going to be what locks it down into place. Now with all the hardware loosely installed, we'll go ahead and tighten down all of our bolts, and we're going to make sure that this hinge moves fully open and closed without binding. Now we're ready to mount the windshield. It will be helpful to have help from a friend, and when we do this, we're actually going to test fit it first and make sure we don't need to make any adjustment to these brackets. After that, we'll take the 6 M8 by 20 millimeter bolts and install those and tighten down the lock nuts on the back. Now again, before we tighten everything down, we need to check for proper fitment, and part of that includes this upper filler panel. We mentioned leaving this hardware up here loose temporarily, so we want to make sure this is all centered up, that we've got a good seal on top and on bottom, and then you've got 2 holes right here. You have these knobs that are going to screw into those, and these bolt holes need to be lined up. So on ours, we are going to have to do a little bit of adjusting. Now that we have everything adjusted up where we need it, I'm going to loosely install these knobs. And then we're going to tighten all the hardware down. Now with all of our hardware tightened down, the next thing we're going to do is install these hood brackets. Now to do that, we're using a 3/8 inch drill bit. It's quite a bit bigger than this hole and the bolts that we're actually using for the job. And the reason we're using this bigger drill bit is just to give us some adjustability for fitment. Now when we do this, what we're going to do, we'll take a little bit of tape and we're going to cover this side body panel right about where the area we're going to drill. Then we're going to fold this windshield down, and once we get to that point, I'll show you where to go from there. Now we'll go ahead and remove the knobs that are holding our windshield into place. We'll take something that's about 2 inches and we're going to set it on top of our hood. Now we can take the windshield and gently set it down onto this 2-inch piece. Now we'll take these knobs and We'll install these onto our hood support bracket, and we're just going through the back side of this windshield. And that's going to snug this down and put it where it needs to be. We'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. At this point, we can take our Sharpie and we're going to mark the area where our holes need to go. At this point, we can remove our hood mounting brackets and we'll drill the holes. Once you have your holes drilled, we can take the hood support and we'll put our knob back into place. Now we're going to take both of our bolts, we'll put these into place, and then we're going to take this nut bracket and install it onto the back side and tighten these bolts down. Now we'll go ahead and repeat the same process on the other side. At this point, we're almost done. We have 2 plugs and a bolt with a spacer and a nylock nut on the back. Now, if you're not going to run the windshield wiper, what you'll do is you've got this plug that goes in the middle and then a smaller plug that'll go on the side. Now this bolt and spacer, we're going to put it on this left-hand side, and this is going to be to hold our windshield wiper in place. So I'm going to tighten that down and also install this plug on the other side. Now we are running this windshield wiper, so what we're going to do is get this installed by removing these 2 nuts from the end. Now with this small nut off the end, you can actually take this knob assembly and remove it for a minute. Then with the second nut off, we'll remove the washer and this rubber bushing, and then we're going to install this from the back side of this hole. Now we can reinstall the rubber bushing, the washer, and the bigger nut, and we'll tighten it down. Now we need to assemble the wiper assembly. To do that, you just squeeze on these 2 sides of the wiper, lift this plastic piece up, and then you have a second plastic piece in here that rotates a little bit. Now we'll take the hook and we'll feed it onto this plastic piece and pull it tight. Now we can snap the locking piece into place. Now we'll install the handle into the mount. We'll take the wiper assembly and we're going to line this up with the wiper handle. And once we've got that in place, we've got this nut. We're going to put that on top and tighten it down. Now once you've got this snug down, we'll set this plastic cap down over the top and we'll lift our windshield wiper up out of the way. And at this point, we'll put the windshield up and then we'll test for fitment of our windshield wiper. So before we put the wiper onto our windshield, we've got this green cover. We need to move this out of the way. Now we'll set the wiper onto our windshield. We'll make sure this thing works properly. And that's all there is to installing the Tusk folding glass windshield. This is really pretty easy to install, same with the windshield wiper, and it's going to make your riding experience a lot nicer. If you need these parts, they're available on our website, so be sure to check that out. And if you like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel because we have a ton of other helpful videos on there. Thanks for watching.